Alright guys, TJHaLy here again today. Hope you're all having a fantastic Saturday or whatever day you are watching this. Call of Duty World League Championships is just around the corner, starting on this very Wednesday in just a few days time. What day is that? I think it's the 14th, then finishing on Sunday the 18th. That makes sense. That should be about right. So today I wanted to follow up from what we talked about on Spitfire a couple of days ago. If you haven't seen that podcast with Brycey and Tunny, I will leave that links down below. We talked through predictions for all of the pools and how we see the event overall turning out, but also last weekend I talked about my predictions for the pools and how, well, it's difficult to predict upsets. We know that upsets are going to happen. All we can really point towards is which pools they're more likely to occur in, I would say. But today I thought I would take it one step further and look through the actual bracket play itself and how the bracket will shape up depending on the results, because we know that, well, Champs is maybe the best event to actually make predictions for how the pools are going to turn out. They seem relatively clear-cut on paper, which means we may have a decent chance of predicting some of the matches that we will get in the bracket play, even though they might not necessarily come about in exactly the way that I put forward today. But it's quite likely that some of the matches we go through will actually occur in the main event, and therefore we can have a real look at who has, a difficult run, or, exactly how things are going to work out towards the World Championship victory. So tomorrow or another day later this week, I'll talk about who I think is going to win and which of the teams I think has the best opportunity to. But today I'll also, touch on my overall prediction and, just see how I think things will play out, even though it's difficult to say. Now, if you guys want to play along with this and want to have a go at making your own bracket and maybe share it with me on Twitter or whatever, I'll leave a link down below to the spreadsheet I'm going to go through today. Big thanks to Jacob Hale for setting up the original one. He's actually currently on 999 followers. So if you guys want to go and drop him a follow, I'll leave his Twitter down below. If you want to pop him over the 100 mark, he originally created this spreadsheet, but I've spiced it up, made it look, I think, a fair bit nicer, and hopefully that'll, help you guys out to visualize everything in the best possible way. So before we hop into it, like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always. Couple things to mention here. Multiplayer sliding has been corrected. At least the issue we've been having over the last couple of days with sliding being ridiculously long they've corrected the slide velocity values for Battery, Crash, Firebreak, Prophet, Recon, Ruin, Zero Talk, Nomad, and Spectre. And for some reason, the other ones haven't quite been sorted out yet. Maybe they're having some other issues. Of course, it is key to note here that these are the only specialists that are using competitive, right? So Battery, Crash, Firebreak, Prophet, Recon, Ruin. Pretty much the only ones that are used. So the slide velocity has been corrected, so at least the pros can practice on the game that they were meant to be practicing on a few weeks ago, pre-champs. So I thought I'd bring that to your guys' attention. And Matt Scrontz echoes a similar statement here on the Reddit, saying, nice to see they focused on the competitive specialists first as well. The others haven't been fixed yet, small thing, but still nice to see. And yeah, not our ideal solution. We wanted to make sure the pros are able to practice properly leading up to champs. So, I mean, there it is. I guess you just love to see it. So, yes, these are real quick, the schedules for the weekend. So this is the Wednesday schedule. Just thought I'd have a look through this real quick. These are the time zones, just to make it clear for you guys. I'm sure some of you guys have already seen this, but I'm sure some of you haven't. So just to go through it. So starting at 10 AM Pacific time, which means at 1 PM Eastern time, 6 PM British Summer Time. If you guys are elsewhere in the world, feel free to figure it out from these time zones here. So these are the matches. So 10 AM, 11:30 AM is going to be these ones, 1 PM, 2:30 PM, 4 PM, if you want to pause the video to have a look at these in more details, and 5:30 PM is the final match, which means that will be starting at 1:30 in the morning in the UK, which means the matches will finish at about 3. Could be worse considering it is obviously in Los Angeles, all the way over on the West Coast. So yeah, these are the matches for Thursday. Very similar schedule. These are all the only ones we know of so far, because of course, depending on how these matches go, the matchups could be very, very different when we get into bracket play. And just to scroll through these matches again, if you guys want to pause, see your favourite team and, see exactly who they're playing. We did talk about it briefly on Spitfire, how, OpTic Gaming, they may have, they haven't looked the best as of late, but they are playing arguably their easiest matches first before they then play Evil Geniuses right at the end of the day, which maybe will be a good schedule for them, and probably the case for some of the other top teams who may have been struggling as of late. So here we go then. This is the spreadsheet I wanted you guys to have a look at. I'll leave this linked down below so you can download your own version of it to change it as and when you please. So firstly, I just wanted to go through real quick how the bracket will shape up, and then we can have a look at my predictions for it, just see where your guys' predictions will differ from mine, let's say. It's going to be a very interesting event for sure. So firstly, of course, the pools have to be sorted out, which is what happens over the first couple of days. The teams play each other all in the pools in a single round robin. In the past, you guys know I've talked about this. I don't like the way Champs is formatted, at least how the groups work, because there's 32 teams here, and the bottom 2 in each pool go home automatically, no second chances, which of course happened to OpTic Gaming last year at the World War II World Championships, where they got 3-0'd by Evil Geniuses. That was the only series they lost to the tournament, and they went out. So, you know, I don't think that's ideal, losing one series to the best team at the tournament. They won the event, and, you know, going home straight away. I don't think that's great, but, you know, this is how the system is. So pretty much, you'll play those first couple of games, and there's tiebreakers are involved, and I'm sure there will be again here, and some teams will go home in difficult circumstances, which happens every year. But after the first 2 days, the top 16 teams will remain, and they will filter into the bracket in the following format. So, you know, here we go. Winners round 1 is A1 versus B2. So the way it works is Group A will play Group B, but of course you will play, you know, cross diagonally. So if you win Pool A, E United for example, you will play second in Pool B, which will be whichever team ends up being second in Pool B. So I've put these in as to my predictions. I didn't really worry about the order of the 3rd and 4th place team. I didn't really look at that. All I was looking at is who I think will get out the pools. I think that I'm going to favour the boys over Elevate, but apart from that, I'm pretty much just going by seeding. I'm sure there will be some upsets here, but I thought I would just leave that out there because, you know, just do it by seeding it. Much easier for you guys to have a look through. You know, you guys may have other opinions on whether, you know, Heretics might take down Splice, or whether Splice will even make it, or whether Reciprocity will come first, or exactly what the situation will be. Maybe Evil Geniuses beat OpTic, whatever the case may be, but I've pretty much left it by seeding, apart from this Group A, which I've switched around a little bit, just to align it with what my predictions were. So this is how the bracket will play out, and going all through these matches, if you guys want to have a look through this in more detail, because this is winner of match 1, winner of match 2, winner of match 13, winner of match 14, so CWL's done a nice job putting this all together, and then of course we have the losers bracket down here as well, which puts into detail exactly how it's all going to play out. So let's go on to some actual predictions. This is the way I filled it in for me. So let's crack on here. Winners round 1, I'm going to say that E United are going to play Enigma 6. I think E United are going to get the better of them. Heretics will play OpTic in round 2, or in the winners round 1 as well, if that's how it plays out. So OpTic, of course, in Group G will play whoever comes second if they come first. You know, let's say OpTic do make it out, which I think is probably like likely, but of course last year it didn't happen. We know that upsets are liable, but you know, this year I reckon OpTic will make it regardless. If they come out first, they will play the second place team. If that happens to be Heretics, I think they'll get the better of them, but they might be playing E United in the very second round. So if E United come out and just, you know, destroy Pool A and come first, they might well play OpTic Gaming in in winners round 2, which is a big deal because this is very, very early in the tournament. We could have a massive matchup here. LG could play Midnight, Rec could play Units round 1, so these are just some, like, effectively by seeding what the winners round 1 matchups will look like. So Rec Units, FaZe Envy, 100 Thieves UIU, EG Spice, Gen.G the boys are some relatively likely, at least by seeding, winners round 1 matchups. So then I've gone through to winners round 2 and just think, you know, who I think is going to win. I think E United would better OpTic on current form. LG Rec I think would be close, you know. I fancy favouring Reciprocity just off the SMGs. That's kind of my my perceptions going into this event, that the SMGs are going to be hugely important. I think that Dylan, Alex and Zed will get the better of, you know, Slacked and John on the whole. Think this will be a close series though. A lot of these I haven't put too much thought into, just to give you guys some idea of how it will shape up. Now FaZe 100 Thieves could be again another winners round 2 matchup. Same with EG Gen.G. So a lot of the winners round 2 matchups are going to be very, very spicy indeed. I just favoured FaZe here just off how good they looked on the Saturday at Miami. They were absolutely cruising. So yeah, FaZe versus Gen.G is going to be my prediction for the winners semi-finals, as is E United versus Reciprocity. So let's go down to the losers bracket and see how I see things shaping out here. These are some arguably, you know, losers round 1 matchups that could occur. E6 Heretics, Midnight Unit, Envy UIU, Splice the boys. We could be seeing matches along these lines. I think that the teams in green are going to take it home. Then of course they're going to play the losers from the winners round 2. So I think that EG will get the better of Heretics if they do play. 100 Thieves maybe will beat units, and you know, here we go. So this is what I'm thinking. I don't really rate Splice. I think OpTic will get the better of them, but they could be playing LG theoretically, or they could be playing Reciprocity, depending on how the case may be, in this losers round 3, at which point I'm not sure OpTic will get the better of that. Of course, if they do play LG, they lost to them at Miami. I feel like a similar fate may befall them once again. EG 100 Thieves. Last time these two teams have played, they've both gone to game 5. EG have won 1, 100 Thieves have won 1. Just given the reputation of these EG guys at champs, I think they'll get the better of them and at least make a decent performance, but I don't know. Once again, I'm kind of basing it on the SMGs. I think this is kind of, it's got a game 5 written all over it, in my opinion. So yeah, these are just some matches. So then losers round 4 depends on who loses the semi-final. So I think E United will better Reciprocity. I fancy FaZe over Gen.G. So that leaves an E United versus FaZe winners final at champs. Rec versus EG, I feel like Rec will get the better of them. Gen.G, LG. Of course, at this point, we're so deep in the bracket, it's very unlikely to be shaping up like this. So that's why I'm kind of breezing over things and not putting too much of an emphasis on it. And then of course the losers final here, Gen.G beating Reciprocity is my personal call. Then of course Gen.G will play against the loser of E United FaZe, which I think will be FaZe, and then I think FaZe will get the better of Gen.G once again and go on to place E United in the grand final, where they will lose and E United will take home the trophy. So you know, those are my predictions, just because on Spitfire a couple of days ago I said that I think E United are going to win, or at least that was my perception. I feel like maybe Clayster, having broken the 1400 day curse, now he's thinking, let me just scroll over a little bit here so you can see the actual scores, or the actual amount of money that these guys could be taking home. These are my predictions that I came up with. I feel like Reciprocity are a dark horse for it, so that's why I've got them winning a few matches. I feel like game 5s are going to be very important for them. Now 100 Thieves and OpTic Gaming, I don't particularly, in this at least predictions, have them very much near the top. They certainly could do. They certainly could make it up there, but we know for a fact, well at least I think so, that this tournament there are going to be some very, very good teams that are going to go out in top 8 placings. Because think about it, these winners round 2 matchups are going to be stacked full of talent, and whoever loses these matchups is going to go down to a very, very difficult losers bracket. If you lose in losers round 3 to some good teams, you're going to place top 8 and walk away with, well, only $50,000. So you know, that's my prediction. I feel like E United are too strong right now. I mean, maybe they'll falter at this tournament, but in terms of their SMG line, it's just filthy. And I think that FaZe have another great opportunity. So these are the teams right now that I think are going to mix it up for the championship. I do feel like we will get some, you know, dark horse teams like Evil Geniuses, maybe even a Splice, make it in there somewhere. But of course, you guys can feel free to play around with this in the description box below. What do you guys think about it? Do you guys think this is a reasonable bracket prediction? Which way would you go with things? Of course, any upsets in the pools or in the early part of the bracket can completely change how this whole thing looks. And, you know, an early loss for United, even to the likes of an Enigma 6, who have known to be pretty damn good in winners round 1, it's possible, you know, if you go game 5, if they underestimate E6 to some degree, if the guys on E6 happen to pop off, the same thing could happen with a Midnight, you know, Royalty and Zaptius. Let's say they turn up big time, they could easily make a little bit of a run, especially with game 5s on the cards. It's difficult to say who you predict when things go all the way to a game 5. But of course, winning the World Championship is a big deal, because $800,000 is way more than $260,000. I would feel really bad if Gen.G made it to another grand finals and lost. That's kind of why I put them third here, just out of respect. But yeah, I think 100 Thieves did it back-to-back earlier in the season. I think it's possible that E United do it again. I think they probably are coming into this event as favourites, so that's why I'm giving them the #1 position here. But I'm sure you guys will leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. So yeah, like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. This will be linked down below along with all the other things I mentioned. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.